let's go. All right. Hold on, right quick. Let me get set up. Y'all know it take me a little second to get set up. How your day was yesterday? How your day was yesterday? For me, I need to go to bed on time, guys. I went to bed like at 3. I was up pretty late. Yes, I am live. Video tools. Watch out. We got people out here flying in front of us. As we wait, we just clicked on it. There you go. We got a disclaimer up. Guys, what school are we going to review today? I'm really interested. Let's go. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution that you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. Okay, let's do it. All right. We got some stuff. One of them, we have to go through our article. And what is my mom doing? My mom always doing something, guys. I kid you not. I love that woman, but she is always doing something. So, first things first. FAMU declines to pay the president's salary. You know I gotta talk about that. You know I got to. So, sometimes I wonder why we can't get stories like this yesterday. They always gotta wait to give us the story the next day. Mondays. I don't know, it'd be Mondays. I like Mondays because the market open. Disclaimer, not a financial advisor. I like Mondays because the market open. Personally, I look forward to that. I thought we had this open already. We do. So they got two links in here about this FAMU situation. So for everybody who don't know, trust me, people don't know about this school. Trust me, people don't know. So this is, first and foremost, I want to make sure I get it right. I know FAMU, but it's Florida A&M, I believe. I'm not going to sit here like I just remember off the top of my head because I'm not in Florida, but, let's see, it should pop up on Google. There you go. Yeah, it's Florida A&M University, and I believe the A stands for agriculture, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. So if you don't know what Florida A&M is, Florida A&M University is a historical black college. They've been around for a while. They are one of those elite HBCUs. In fact, and so why are we talking about them? Because the president of FAMU, so FAMU declined to pay the president. They declined to fund her salary. It's a she. They declined to fund it. And the president's name is Marva Johnson, actually, too. I'm gonna open up another tab. Marva Johnson. Yeah. So they decided not to pay Marva Johnson. So she was supposed to get, it says the FAMU Foundation declined Thursday to revise its 2025-2026 budget to accommodate President-elect Marva Johnson. The salary was $600. Her annual salary was going to be $650, and she would get $150,000 bonus, a $150,000 1-year retention bonus. So if she stays for a year, she gets $150,000 bonus, I believe. It says opting instead to force the university to use state It says opting instead to force the university use. Opted instead to force the university use state carry forward funds to cover her salary. I don't know what they tried to do right there. I think they wrote this. Rattler Nation. So don't know what they tried to do in that last little line. Opted instead to force the university to use state. So it sounded like they said they forced the university. They opted instead to force the university to use state carry forward funds. I guess to use state funds, but we'll keep going. So the Florida legislature this year added a last minute budget amendment to the state's 2025-2026 spending plan. They give the ability to sidestep the state that caps. Okay. So, a last-minute budget amendment to the state 2025-2026 spending plan. It gave FAMU the ability to do a sidestep, to sidestep a state law that caps the amount of money, the amount of public money state colleges and universities can spend on presidential salaries. I thought FAMU was private, but they are not. They are public. Okay, I thought they were private. So FAMU is public, and so they're saying that there's a state law that caps the amount of public money state colleges and universities can spend on president salaries. If you know us on this channel, the main goal is for you to start a 2-year and bridge to 4-year. We do give you some stories, of course, that is about president salaries, layoffs recently. We try to keep up with all the current trends, what's going on right now in higher education, with the budget shrinks of schools and what that looks like for future students and parents and guardians, with the rise of constant tuition increases with no stopping. So let's keep going. It says right here, the Florida law currently caps the amount of public money spent on college and university presidential salaries at $200,000. So they're saying that Florida has a law, the state of Florida has a law that caps, you can spend about $200,000 on presidential salaries. But it says up until now, each institution had to fund the rest of their private foundation funds. Had to fund the rest out of their private, And as we keep going, it's such a unique situation, right? As we keep trying to navigate this, the foundation instead will use its current year resources to cover existing financial obligations, including supplemental payments for interim President Timothy Beard, if I said it right, Timothy Beard, through his August 4th departure, and continue to pay former President Larry Robinson, who is set to rejoin the faculty after a year-long sabbatical during which he received his full presidential salary. It says Robinson return coincides with Johnson's transition into office. So let's get to the good part, meat and potatoes. Meanwhile, the foundation nearly doubled its projected gift fee revenue from $355,000 to $750,000, almost $1 million, citing stronger donor engagement. So they've been having more donors pour into FAMU, which is very good. It says of that increase, $400,000 will bolster FAMU's athletic department and its famed Marching 100 band. So of that increase, 400,000 of that dollars, I'm assuming what I'm taking for that, of that increase, $400,000 will bolster FAMU athletic departments. They're gonna, I guess, allocate there and allocate to their band. It's a move applauded by alumni, but raising questions about priorities and leadership pay debates. Okay, so FAMU is having some alumni, but raising questions about priorities and leadership pay debates. Pay debates, okay. It's very short, though. You thought this would have been like 30 minutes, but it's not that much. And so back to Johnson, they say salary. They say it's her big salary and lack of experience again comes under scrutiny. So people have been criticizing the President Johnson. Remember Marva Johnson, saying that her lack of executive leadership experience, corporate or in higher education. Okay, credit scrutinized Johnson compensation. They said nobly higher than her predecessors, and her lack of executive leadership experience, corporate. I don't know why they did. They should have said her lack of corporate experience, and or they should say her lack of corporate experience or lack of experience in higher education. Boom. But they said no one agrees that competitive salaries are necessary to attract top talent. Once again, no one argues that competitive salaries are necessary to attract top talent, but critics suggest Johnson isn't it, and that she would have never been considered to lead the USF, FAU, FIU, UWF, or U. I guess they're naming Florida schools because they all got F in them. And I know for sure University of West Florida, I think. But it says right here, both FAU and FIU recently filled presidential vacancies in the past 5 months, while University of West Florida, I believe when they say UWF, University of West Florida, and University of Florida, both have openings. Yes, we already know about University of Florida having openings, and University of West Florida, I did not know that. So, the foundation's choice to funnel new revenue toward athletics instead of absorbing Johnson's big salary underscores their desire to support student scholarships over messy political appointments. As Johnson prepares to take office, stakeholders await the long-term impact of these decisions on FAMU's academic and operational goals. Whoa. Okay. I don't know who wrote this. It's called Rattler Nation. The Rattler, very I don't know. But what I do know is somebody don't like that the school has decided to. So they got a big. So let me tell you this. All right, picture this. Picture perfect world. So FAMU got an increase, right, in their foundation. Now remember, the foundation is what I didn't mention this probably before, but the foundation is what they was going to use to pay the president a big salary. And remember, her salary was supposed to be $650,000, and the foundation said we're not finna pay. Usually, a foundation or they have a board. The foundation said we're not finna pay President Marva Johnson at FAMU. We're not finna pay her $650 in annual salary and $150 in a 1-year retention bonus. They said we're not going to do that because what, 650? Let me get my calculator. 650 plus 150. If it was 600 plus 100, that'd be 700. So that's like $800. 650 plus 150. Yeah, 800. So they weren't even gonna have enough in the foundation to pay her that. So they said with the foundation money, we're not gonna pay her. We're gonna let the state pay her. But they didn't really clarify if the state was gonna match it. They said a last minute budget amendment to the state's 2025 spending plan, but it said Florida law capped what you can spend on presidents, what the state can spend on the president, and that was $200,000. But it said up until now, each institution had to fund the rest out of their private foundation funds. So unless they're using another foundation, which is what we're about to get into, unless they're using another foundation, I'm curious to know, because they said she's going to be making more than the predecessor of FAMU presidents, but we don't know how much the predecessors made before her. We don't know. But what I do know is, right now, looking at this, that FAMU Foundation is going to have $750,000. Not saying that's a good chunk. If you compare schools, it's not that much. But at this school, hey, we're gonna take it. That $750,000, you can do a lot with that. And so they said they had stronger donor engagement. I want to re-emphasize that. But they said out of that $750,000, they're going to put $750,000 minus $400,000 is $350 left over. So they're saying they're going to take $400,000 of it and put it toward the athletic departments at FAMU, and they're going to put it toward their band. But the person who said this said that the person who wrote this said that the foundation's choice to funnel new revenue toward athletics instead of absorbing Johnson's big salary underscores their desire to support student scholarships over messy political appointments. So what I'm taking for that, what am I getting from that? Let me see. Did I join I did not join the control room. I could have copied and pasted. I'm about to copy and paste this. So real quick, guys, as I get into the control room, because that is interesting. Let me put this in the chat. Because when they say that, it sounds like what I'm interpreting from it is that the foundation's choice to fund a new revenue toward athletics instead of absorbing Johnson's big salary. Yeah. So there's, I guess they feel like, I hope a student will write this. They saying that they could have took that money and found that foundation money and gave students more scholarships to go to college. That's what I took from it. I could be wrong, but that's what it feels like they're saying. Like, you rather put it towards your sports and your band when you got students out here, you know, when you got students out here struggling, I guess that's what I'm interpreting. And then right there in the chat, and then I'm gonna put appointments in here. Where is it? Not where is it, but look at my send button. And so, yeah, that's interesting, guys. As we talk about, I don't think a school, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know about FAMU's football program. I don't know nothing about their sports program. I don't know. I know the band gotta be banging, because once again, I know I went to a historical black high school, and the band is similar to college bands with the drum majors, the dancing, you know, it's nice. It's cool. I like it. But to say I'm about to put $400,000 into an athletic program is, like I said, I don't know much about FAMU. I don't know if FAMU has been thriving. I have heard FAMU has a great business program. I have heard that. I definitely heard they have a respected business program. But will I put $400,000 into sports if I had a choice, or I'm on this foundation, I'm trying to convince the foundation? No. I don't think it's really gonna make anything better, besides unless you're just renovating the stadium or renovating tennis courts or whatever you plan on doing with $400,000. Because I know simply you ain't finna get nothing really. You're not finna buy no new stadium with $400,000. You're not finna. The only thing you're not finna get no top-notch NIL players. So I don't even know what 400. I don't know what 400,000 can really get you. Then they said they split it with the band, so I think it's really gonna be 200,000, unless they do like 300. You know, like 300 and 100. But yeah, they declined to pay the president. I don't know if they. I don't know. Let's go to the next one. So there's another article here. It's by, I won't say article, but the news, WCTV, news anchor. Oh, we got a video. All right, we're gonna play that. You know, we had a video, and then we'll go from there. Where we at? TV turned up. Turn me up. Waiting on you, computer. No, not computer, but...
Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Julie Montanaro.
And I'm Jacob Murphy. Florida A&M students gathered the eternal flame on campus today, protesting the pick of Marva Johnson as FAMU's next president.
And just 2 hours ago, Florida's Board of Governors confirmed Johnson as she addressed the past few weeks of protest and pushback.
Students, faculty, alumni, stakeholders, I am listening, and I hear your hopes, and I hear your dreams, and I hear your concerns. And my door will always be open. And I'm looking forward to full engagement on campus and in our communities.
Today, the board also confirmed former Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez as president of FIU and Manny Diaz as the interim president at UWF, both of them close allies of Governor Ron DeSantis.
Marva Johnson's political connections, a major sticking point for some FAMU community members. Our Brea Ruffin joins us live from campus now, hearing some reactions tonight. Brea?
Julie, Jacob, that decision came with no opposition from any of the members on the Board of Governors. Marva Johnson will be the new leader of FAMU. During the meeting, several members spoke highly of Johnson, some stating that she's a tough person in light of criticism and how qualified they believe she is for the job. One student I spoke to says that new leadership will hopefully take FAMU to the next level, but he wonders if this decision was made for the students or other reasons.
Is this university focused on its main root, which is our students, or is it focused on, per se, looking good? Whoever steps into that responsibility, it's your job to keep this university on a solid ground, keep this university in solid field. We live by that principle.
Johnson is set to start August 1st. We're working to find out when Johnson will have her first public appearance on campus as president. And next, the FAMU Foundation will vote on a budget to align with Johnson's salary. Reporting at FAMU, Brea Ruffin, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Okay, Abrea, thank you so much. The FAMU Faculty Union released a statement on Johnson, not touching on the controversy, but instead setting expectations for her and her team. It includes a focus on FAMU's missions, faculty bargaining decisions, and funding and support for culturally related courses. The faculty say they want clarity from Johnson on these concerns.
Oh, okay. Hey, go back to it.
Time is your most valuable luxury.
Go back to it. I wasn't done with it. So, that is a little bit right. That they were saying about Marva Johnson. I never heard of her, but apparently they feel like she got thrown in this position, I guess, because of who she know. That's how it's coming. I never heard about this lady until then. I'm gonna actually do a little digging real quick on Google and see why they don't want President Marva Johnson. And I'm going to read out the commitments they said she needs to do when she takes office. She speaks on her behalf. Get it? We're speaking on behalf as well. Because I really don't know Marva Johnson at all. We gotta get us a FAMU student on here, right? See who get a SGA president, something like that. Be a good idea, right? What you think, G? I know you in here probably. Be a good idea. There we go, right here. So when I get better, now I gotta use my phone. I would have made a phone call right on the live and ask somebody, do they know? Because I know some people who know the SGA president out there at Florida A&M, unless they changed it. Because I asked them about it. So right here it says FAMU Faculty Union expectations for Marva Johnson. Preserve FAMU historic mission, protect academic programs, uphold shared governance. Ooh, that's something we ain't got right now. Uphold shared governance, support inclusive, culturally rooted education, practice transparent leadership, model ethical stewardship, commit to timely bargaining agreements. That's the faculty union. That I really don't know why they don't like her though. I'm really trying to figure out what is they say she was an American business executive. Google is telling me she went to Georgetown University, Emory University, Georgia State University. That's all I got on her. She's not popping up as like a really big You know about how the main people pop up on a Google search. But that is what we're getting for President Marva Johnson. She's not getting a lot of good headwind, as I would say. I think that's the word to use. But as I keep going real quick in the brief, we said that part, her pay will be covered instead by state carry forward funds. I never heard of a state carry forward funds, but it will be by state carry forward funds. It says Johnson, an ally of the state's Republican. Oh, now we put the pieces together. They're saying she was a per Chronicle Higher Education. They said that Marva Johnson was an ally of the state of Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. If I said DeSantis, if I said that right. But they're saying she's an ally, which means I'm assuming she's a Republican because he's a Republican. And as we said before, Florida is very Republican. And why does that matter? I'm assuming because the Board of Governors, and at least in Florida, when they pick their president of colleges, the Board of Governors pick I believe it's the Board of Governors in Florida. That's how they get down. So I don't even think like their system of Florida, like their university system of Florida picks. I believe it's the Board of Governors of Florida. But let me see. I think they put that in here because I know we read about it. Don't quote me on it. I know we read about it with the University of Florida when Sono, is it Santo? When that president coming from Michigan, the University of Michigan, tried to go to the University of Florida, and they denied him because they said he wasn't conservative enough. So now I'm trying to see Ron DeSantis, if I say his name right, and Marva. She should pop up if they're allies. Marva, she been flying under the radar. She ain't been popping up about him at all. That's very strategic. So this was back in June 18th. As we just doing some background research on this real quick, because if you getting backlash from students and you haven't even stepped into office yet, that is not good. No, and I guess agree. So CNN, getting it from CNN. I know people don't like CNN, but they give me the only hope I got right now in finding out some information. DeSantis, ally appointed president of Florida's only public HBCU. Marva Johnson's a telecommunications executive will become the 13th president of Florida A&M University despite opposition from thousands of students and alumni. The Florida Board of Governors voted. Yeah, the Florida Board of Governors. So if you on the Board of Governors in Florida, you get to pretty much pick the president, or I guess you get to pick which, like, what's that word? You get to pick like a variety of applicants, if I say that. It says the Florida Board of Governors voted Wednesday to confirm Johnson's appointment by the FAMU Board of Trustees. So I believe the Board of Trustees, FAMU Board of Trustees, and the Florida Board of Governors. It says FAMU is Florida's only public historically black college. And don't get me wrong, I don't know, like I said, I don't know exactly how they structure it. But as we keep going, several students and alumni spoke out during the Board of Governors meeting. Let's close that out. Several students and alumni spoke out during the Board of Governors meeting, receiving applause from the audience at each speech. They said right here, I'm going to read a little bit, but we finally found the answer we were looking for. So to date, we do not feel heard. Kimberly Goodwin, a FAMU alumna and former president of ABC News, told the board, Marva Johnson is not ready to lead the nation's #1 public historical black college university. Ms. Johnson did not earn this. She does not have the best resume. She did not have a good on-campus interview. She appeared unprepared and short-sighted and did not present well to our stakeholders. Okay. And so students did a petition. They're very concerned. A computer engineering student. Our students are faculty. So it says right here, if you guys confirm this candidate, it is to reaffirm to all of us, our students, our faculty, our staff, alumni, the 18,000 people who signed the petition online, that our voices do not matter. So 18,000 people signed it. So you already know what I'm about to say. Now I'm giving my review. As we went through it, we heard other people speak. We heard a lot of FAMU students speak. They feel like she's not qualified to get the position. They saying she don't have a good resume. She didn't do good in interview. She didn't do good in nothing. But the reason she got the position is because of what? As we said, higher education is very political. And if you don't know that, now you know. So Marva Johnson skipped the line, got a job. She's probably not qualified for. She probably didn't even study higher education at all. She probably didn't take not one course on higher education. She probably went to school for straight business. I don't know much about her, can't speak on her, but one thing I can say is like this. And now I see why the person who wrote this article said they're waiting for long-term effects, long-term impact of these decisions. They thinking that the school is going to go downhill significantly and fast. If you are not happy as a student, and I get that you want to go to HBCU, if you are not happy as a student, go to another school. That's the only thing I can say. Because I'm going to be real with you. I'm about to go look at FAMU right now, tuition and fees, as we do so well. And I can assure you right now, I know it's expensive. Well, I might be wrong. Actually, they got some good prices. Hold on, let me be quiet. Hold on, let me go to their website. Hold on now. Hold on, FAMU. Let me see. Let's see. So as I scroll, as I try to look, all right. So right here, I got. Is it real? Why are you talking about 2007? See, that's what I be talking about with school websites. That's what I be talking about. Why I see 2007 on your tuition and fees when I should be looking for strictly your tuition and fees, like cost of undergraduate. If I want to be an undergraduate in 10, let's see. They're showing charge to student whose date of enrollment was on or after 2007. What I'm getting right now is your tuition is they're including everything else. Actually, FAMU, y'all have some good tuition for to be a HBCU. Known for good business program. I don't know how undergraduate is. I know it's all different. But right now, y'all are coming off as y'all have good prices. But y'all are not telling me what this. So they just have tuition and fees up here. No particular order. Is this for the upcoming year? I'm looking at it, but it's not specifying the year. Yeah, it's that. So right now, looking at it, based off of this, they're saying you're looking at 20. If you stay off campus, of course, you're looking at 28 in tuition and fees, which is all the same. You're looking at $2,800. And then they're talking about required fees as well. So you're looking at about... So tuition and fees and then required fees, but tuition and fees, you're looking at about $5,700 per year. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that's pretty good for the respect that this school has. We actually gonna do FAMU. We're gonna do FAMU. I don't know what their graduation rates are. I don't know what their retention rates are. I didn't know their prices. I should have known their prices were that good, honestly, because it's in Florida and they're public. But if they were private, it would have been crazy. The price would have been crazy. So, okay. But if you're not happy, still leave. If you're not happy with the president, go somewhere else. You are not obligated to stay at a school. For my seniors there, you about to be out the door. If you about to be a senior, or like 2027-ish or 2026, depending on how it falls, like you can go to another. I think if it's more HBCUs out there in Florida, you can go to another one. But the only thing when you go to HBCU, where you kind of trap yourself a little bit, and it's not your fault, is that some of your classes won't be taken at another school because you went to HBCU. I know the common thing that used to happen to people when they went to HBCUs. Now it's not all HBCUs. It's just like some HBCUs when you try to transfer from an HBCU to like a PWI. Hopefully it's a PBI. The sub layer is a PBI because every school is a PWI. Unless you're an HBCU, every school is a PWI. But over time they became PBIs, HSIs, Asian Pacific and Islander. Asian Pacific and Islander specific. They became that over time as we started uniting as a country. But be mindful if you do try to transfer. You might be a freshman, sophomore. You might be listening to the older students. The older students might be saying you need to leave, blah, blah, blah. Do your homework before you transfer, please. Please go talk to the, if you plan on going to another school, talk to the college transfer person. Let them weigh your credits before you transfer. It's really important. But if you are not happy, man, honestly, a president does make a difference on the school. As far as like they said right here, the faculty is saying that preserve FAMU historic mission. This president might get in here and do, 45 and 47 type stuff at the school. I don't know, but as I always say, see how it goes and just play it by ear and pay attention. Like if you notice you're not getting more connections at the school, and I know that's hard as a student to see, unless you really are like, we're not getting better. And it's hard for a student to really feel it immediately, especially if you're about to leave. But the people who about to be freshmen and go to junior year, like freshmen and then by their junior or senior year, they'll be able to feel it by then. But the president, she got denied her pay. FAMU denied her pay, and so the state is supposed to pay her. But they also said in the news anchor said they're supposed to be negotiating a salary for her. But she won't even make on paper. She won't make $1 million. Let me say that, unless they renegotiate, and she'll be making about $1 million. But shoot, Florida got a state law. You can't even, unless you getting paid by the actual foundation and of the college, the state of Florida, and like they said, they changed it. They always changing stuff at last minute. But they had it where you can't even make that much by the state. The state had to do a cap on it, 200,000, which is very good. I think we should put a cap on all of it, but we could put more money into the school. But if y'all can do that. So yeah, FAMU president, we will definitely keep an eye out. President Marvin Johnson, and might have to get some insights. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. I thought they would have been happy, but I guess political views and stuff interfering, and Ron DeSantis is not good in FAMU's eyes of the students. So if anybody knows something here, let us know on that one, because crazy. That's crazy, bro. That was a good segment. I like that. I didn't expect that much detail to go in. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. All right, so off-campus housing. So guys, I came across something talking about, well, first it's about 11:34. Let's see if anything has been posted before we keep going. We're going to talk about supporting students with off-campus housing connections. They have a specific school in here. This is by Inside Higher Ed. Ashley Mo Reader actually wrote this. So we just want to see did anybody post anything while we're live streaming, because they're notorious for posting while we live stream. Notorious. Let me see. Where is it? There you go. So I am not ready. I'm just playing. I am ready for fall classes to start last semester. It's gonna be weird. School's been like my whole life, and it's about to be like over. I'm not seeing anything that's worth speaking about. All right, so I got my own stories, but I like to see if a post, breaking news or something. No breaking news, just traditional posts. People just getting their daily, doing their daily jobs. So supporting students with off-campus housing. I don't know if this is tailored to this school, but they have mentioned Texas State University offers guidance, education, and resources. If I'm not mistaken, I think we did a review on Texas State University. I don't know if we did or not. Once we put the playlist together, that'd be a lot easier for us to just retrace our steps, right? So a majority of, they say right here, this is by Inside Higher Ed, by the way, guys, very credible. They say a majority of Texas State University students live on campus in the city of San Marcos. So I'm gonna read the top sentence, as I always do. It says, resident life can be a key part of the student experience, but a majority of students do not have, they say a majority of students do not have, a majority of students do not have access to on-campus housing due to a lack of beds available at their institution. According to a 2025 survey from the student housing management platform StarRez, never heard of StarRez. The data from the National Post-Secondary Student Age Study found that only 16% of all undergraduate students live on campus. What? Oh my goodness. Only 16% of all undergraduate students live on campus. That's low. That's low. So why do colleges... Yeah, I was gonna say, what about the other percent? So there's an article saying they did this back in 2020. They said, what about the other 85%? Oh, we finna go into a whole rabbit hole, guys. Oh, we about to eat on this one too. So, as you all know, I say stay off campus. Staying off campus is one of the best things you can do when going to college, because you don't have to worry about getting the meal plan or dormitory. I'm gonna say this: you don't have to worry about getting a bull crap dormitory, and you can actually make yourself more safer. Do better with making yourself more safer. 9 times out of 10, I remember we spoke on one school about it. Their dorms were like $8,000. It was like $8,000 per semester, or $5,000 to $6,000 per semester. Very crazy prices. I was like $5,000 on the low end, and I was like, is this worth $5,000 a semester, which is like $10,000 for the year, the school year? You have to keep in mind, I'm gonna be honest, my rent was probably like $12,000 for the year. If you do what, 400, I'm gonna say on the high end, my rent wasn't even 500, but I'm gonna just round it to 500 when I was staying in Valdosta State. 500 times 12. So yeah, my rent for the year was like $6,000. But you pay the month on the first of the month. So theirs is like $5,000. That's $10,000 for the year, because you're gonna be there for fall and spring semester of school. But you have to share a room, and you have to share a bathroom, and you're paying way more money than me. So I don't think students think about that 16% who do stay on campus. But I think more students are doing that because it's hard for me to, I'm be honest with you. It's hard for me to believe a little bit that 16% of all undergraduate students live on campus. But that's the numbers for you. But from experience, it seemed like every student stayed on campus. And you have to remember, guys, when I went to school, a lot of times schools can opt out of doing this research to protect themselves, and they don't want their school name. And they can be anonymous. The school can be like, we don't want you to say our school name. But a lot of schools, oftentimes, they will opt out. That's why I don't like the data sometimes in higher ed, because schools can choose what they want to, like, they have a option to, hey, say my school, like, use the school name, don't use the school name. It's like real business oriented, like, use the school name, don't use the school name. They're only doing, like, how can I put it? They're only doing the, what we always say, they're only doing the West Coast of schools. They're not doing all the schools in the United States. It's like, you know, so you have to keep that in mind with research. One of the pros of going to graduate school. So I'll give you that perspective. I know it's a little buffer, but I always got to keep that in mind when reading this. And so, but the impact of moving off campus can create challenges in student retention and engagement. Opinionated. I don't think, what's my water? I guess we ain't having no water today, y'all. So we had ran yesterday too. Off the top, we ran like 1 mile and 20 yesterday with a vest on. I stopped like I stopped 3 times, I think. 2 times for sure. I stopped 2 times. Maybe 3, but 2. With that vest. That vest be working you out. It works out everything. Shoulders, you know, but it works you out. And so I don't think it's true that students, it creates challenges in student retention and engagement. When I stayed off campus, if I wanted to hang out with anybody on the college campus, I drove to the campus. I was not disengaged at all, I feel like. I just wasn't on the same type of time in my lingo. I wasn't on that type of time with my peers in college. Yeah, it would have been a time to, like, you know, they get to know you, party with you, blah, blah, blah. But at my school in the rural area, for example, they still party. Went back there not too long ago to, you know, do military. And hint, hint. So they still doing the same thing. And so you can just, everything is not even on campus anyway. So that's, I'm not gonna waste time on that. So 60% of colleges and universities that responded to Star Red survey say the transition to off-campus housing has a moderate to significant impact on the student experience. Additionally, 72% of institutions believe making the off-campus transition easier will improve student wellness and success. That is true. 72% institutions believe that. I believe student wellness and success. A student has a really better chance of being successful when you a smoothing, what they talking about? 17%. And then so when students, so I don't know. We need to see, are you talking about students when they stayed at the campus? When they stayed, y'all see me doing my Donald Trump impression? Lower your taxes. Lower your taxes. I lower your taxes. So let me stop messing with people. So I don't know if they're saying like the students stay on campus their freshman, sophomore year and they're transitioning off campus their junior, senior year. Because I don't know what you mean by transition. I'm coming into college, staying off campus. Me. If I want to save money, I'm not. The damage done, technically. If I stay on campus for 2 years at the campus, the damage is done. And you can't redo it. It says, so yet, they said only 17% of institutions provide dedicated resources for smoothing transition. All right. Texas State, back to Texas State University. Texas State University is the one institution that has a dedicated team to encourage and support students, as they move into their first apartment, offering digital resources, one-on-one advising appointments, and on-campus housing fairs to assist them throughout the process. This is interesting. So are they in college? Are they like, let's keep going. Let's read real quick. The background. All right. So they're giving us some background context. Texas State enrolls 40,000 students, but as of this upcoming fall, 2025, August 2025, Texas State University will have just over 10,000 beds on campus. While the university has a residency requirement for most incoming students, a majority move off campus after their first year. It says they have a residency requirement for incoming students, but a majority move off of campus after their first year. So after their first year, that makes sense. You're going to move off campus after your first year. Why? Because you realize you don't need a meal plan. You realize you don't need dorms or bed. You don't need the dorm, the meal plans. So you're going to move off campus. You're going to say, I could get a better apartment living situation. And me and some peers who are responsible for their own rent, they're responsible for their own rent, and we can thrive better that way. I feel like they're not saying that in the article, though. That's what I feel like. I feel like they're not saying that in the article. It says, over the years, the university has developed partnerships with local apartment complexes that provide housing, and officials provide students with recommendations and information about trusted landlords. So right there, the university has developed partnerships. Texas State University developed partnerships. I think all schools should develop partnerships with apartment complexes. I think schools are losing their edge, obviously, about on-campus housing, which makes no sense. If you only have, apparently, no offense to Texas State University, apparently you're not reinvesting into getting bigger buildings, more beds. Because if you got 40,000 students who are coming, but you only have 10,000 beds, y'all trying to get a great return on investment. I get it. I understand it. But you can't be telling these kids to come here and then you don't even have enough space for them. Or they're moving off or the students move off campus. They still go to school, but they move off campus because they're like, look, it's too much going on. It's not really worth it. I'm sharing rooms with somebody. They got all their people coming in the room. I understand how it is to have roommates. I get it. But most of them are moving off after their first year. And a lot of schools should take that approach. I think as a president or whoever's in charge of that position, you should work heavily to make partnerships with apartment complexes that are trustworthy, that are better for students. And yeah, it cuts into your money maker, but if you're already, as they said in the beginning, only 16%, if I'm not mistaken, only 16% of all undergraduate students live on campus. So you're already, if I'm not mistaken, having empty buildings. So either way, you're losing money. You might as well, you might as well mitigate the losses by forming some partnerships with apartment complexes. I can't stress that enough. And this is why I'll be talking about this is bad fundamentals. You don't have good tuition prices. You don't have really stability dorm living situation. You're constantly producing a lot of meal plans. I feel like they should, if you're gonna offer meal plans, they need to make that real tighter, real more like gatekeep, because trust me, it's really easy to go get not get a free, but it's easy to go get a meal at the school. I'm gonna say that. They need to really mitigate and crack down on that stuff, which they can. But that's just me trying to help these schools. Like, worst kind of worst, you're just gonna be shrinking more and more. It's gonna be like Duke. What you gonna talk about in the next one? You're gonna be like Duke. Laying off 600 people. Texas State staff also partner with city officials. Yeah. So supporting students, giving the university limited capacity to house students. So it says right here, supporting students, giving the university's limited capacity to house students. Staff consider it a top priority to provide students early on with educational opportunities to live off campus. Shout out to Texas State on that. Hey, you should stay on campus. Look, you already know me. I'm gonna spill the beans. It's gonna save you this money. It's gonna help with your tuition. But look, you might need a part-time job, or you need to get a full-time. You're just gonna be the game is changing for higher education. The game is changing. Even my main person that be in the chat, and Alice Marie, my two loyal people in here, they had jobs in college. You're going to have to get a job in college. If you thinking, unless you're a TikTok star, that's still a job. If you TikToking, you YouTubing, hey, as long as you working, cool. But you're going to have a job while you go to school. The game at the same where you could just go to school and not work. You're losing money in today's time like that. That's not even good advice no more. I would set a standard as I do. I don't even say, look, maybe you should. I'd be like, look, you need to get a job. Like, you're going to have to get a job. I don't know where you're going to work, but you're going to have to get a job. Part-time, full-time. If you really changing the game when you get a full-time job and you go to college all the way through. Why do I say that? Because they make these programs, guys, like, like online courses for adult learners, right? Not adult education, adult learners, which is people who have full-time jobs already and they're professionals already. If I was you want to make sure you get the best of your skill depending on what's your major, of course. I'll say do what they're doing because their schedule is literally worked around their full-time job. So if you're an 18-year-old, be mindful. This could be overwhelming. If you are willing to get a full-time job and go to school, like, there's so many ways to do this. You don't have to be a full-time student in school. Make them work for it. Make the school work. You can be a full-time worker and go to school part-time. You can be taking 2 classes and going to work full-time. There's no rush on this, especially if you snag a good job. But what you don't want to get greedy at is taking on the money early because you think that's a lot of money. At 18, 19, shoot, even 20. You think, like, it ain't gonna get no better than this. So you say bump school. When, in fact, like, my people talk about my liberal arts major. This is all liberal arts. Our degree expands over time. In our career field, we get more money as we get older and we keep perfecting our craft in whatever career field we're in. Because I tell people all the time, like, regression is real. You can regress. People stay stagnant. Some people stay the same as when they were 18 till they're 26, 25. Not good. Or people start declining from 18 to hit their peak. Or they tell themselves they hit their peak. And then they just go downhill as they get older, which is very much possible. The liberal arts teaches you how to, like, keep your mind learning and keep your mind curious and keep expanding on, like, it's more to this. And so that might be a book, that might be a YouTube video, that might be whichever way you want to learn, surrounding yourself with peers in different career fields. But the game is changing in higher education, guys. And as a student going to school, it's not like, I'm not saying you can't be a traditional broke college student. I'm not saying that. I'm saying realistically, if you want to get ahead in today's economy after college, when you're trying to be like, okay, when school is over, how many times we see people say, when you getting a job? People expect you to have a job in your lap. Right now, the market is terrible to get a job for college graduates coming out. The market is terrible. They say the market is terrible. So what you gonna do? You like, I can't get a job that fast. Y'all told me the job market was good 2 years ago or a year ago. It changed in a year. It changed in the month, actually. So don't play the game traditional. That's how you get a debt-free degree. Don't play the game traditional. If you notice, I didn't say you had to go. I didn't say in that whole segment, I didn't say you had to go to a specific school Even though I recommend you should start a 2-year bridge to 4-year. That worked for me. And I was able to get a debt-free degree and pocket back money at the same time. Everybody can't play that game. That's a tough game to play because it requires patience and mindset shift. It don't ever require, like, I won't even say your money won't be your problem. It's going to be your problem of submitting your assignments and not having fun. Only thing I had to sacrifice was fun on this journey. Fun. Now I'm having fun. I stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning talking with friends. What I do, I play the game a little bit. You know, I enjoyed this summer not going to school and talking to y'all on a live screen. Most fun I probably had in a long time because I've been in boot camp, doing school, reading, learning, bettering. I've been doing that since 2017 summer. It's 2020. That's almost a decade. So let's keep going. But it says right here, you already know I'm about to say something about this. So just over 2 in 5 undergraduates at Texas State are first-generation students, making it especially important to help them and their parents navigate housing complexities. Guys, right here, me personally, they have a segment about first-generation students. I might dump this article after I say this and just transition to first-generation students. If you are a first-generation student, there's no excuse. There's sympathy, but there's no excuse. Because I was a first-generation college student. Technically. Like, my sister was there. Like, she went to college, but her journey was so long, and she wasn't even a traditional college student when she was going. So, like, she didn't really give me, like, first-generation college student is a fancy way of saying you're a first time in your family to go to college, right? Which is, I don't like the term. I feel like it's just another word to make you lesser. It's another word to make you lesser, to feel like you can't do this. Because my common thing was, guys, I'm 20. You gotta think about this. I'm 20 or 19 going through this process. I called the school. I tried to stay on campus. I thought about it. Then I asked the person there, I said, do y'all have any, like, partnerships or recommendations for off-campus housing? That's what I said. Common sense. It got to be apartment complexes around here because that's what college students do. How do I know that? You just know people. When you're in school, like I said, I still was making connections at my 2-year. So I heard some stories about staying off campus, Like, don't minimize yourself. But you leap into a school of this magnitude, that could be a little strenuous. Going to such a big school at the gate, and then your first generation, I hope you got the money, because I think Texas State got some crazy prices, if I'm not mistaken. It can be strenuous, but you just got to pick up the phone. It's like essentially working. You got to pick up the phone, talk to the school, and it's going to be a lot harder. Why? Because this school is bigger. Universities are bigger. So you got to hope you get on the phone with somebody. You got to hope they email you back on time. And you got to hope they get back with you in a matter of time that is good for you to make a good decision on where to live. Do you have a car? So this is why you're going to have to work. Y'all at least have a part-time job and keep a roof over your head. As long as you can keep a roof over your head and have a nice a back and forth vehicle, you should be good. And put groceries in the apartment. Hey, you don't need a couch in your apartment. You don't need all that comfort stuff in your apartment. Right now, I don't have a couch in my apartment right now. I don't like comfort like that, personally. I think it's gonna be comfort. Like, when I hear stories about tech entrepreneurs, man, about when they said they was doing is sleeping on an air mattress. I read multiple stories like that in 0 to 1. I read multiple stories like that in the rework. I believe they had that. Guys, there's a lot of people out there, man, you would believe because they know they're not going to be at home. And that resonated with me so well because I didn't have to waste money on that. I felt like everything. Now I had a bed, of course, but shoot, even when I first moved, a little context. When I first moved to, cause I'm like in Atlanta. We'll say I'm in Atlanta. So being in the Atlanta area, when I first moved up here, I took that leap and moved up here for graduate school to be closer, of course. I had a roommate, but I didn't buy a bed because I knew I wasn't gonna be there long. I slept on an air mattress for like 6 months. Could I have got a bed? Yeah. Then I was gonna have to take it up the stairs. Then I was gonna get a mattress. Then I had to put the bed together, take the bed apart. Guys, I'm like, man, I'm mobile. I gotta be mobile. I'm like, might be here like 6 months, maybe. You know, work up, save up for a job, and I'm going to the apartment. And so, or moving to a new apartment. Don't let, I don't know, me personally, you don't need all them comfort items in these times. Like, you know me, I'm gonna say you don't need all the subscriptions like Hulu, Netflix, not having a couch. We talked about that in my leadership school in the military. One of the reasons why I just be like, a couch, I don't know, it just gives you a reason to sit there. Cause you're like, it's just there. And you know how you just feel tempted to go there and sit there. And so, but we talked about this real quick before I talk about the first generation students. We talked about how in leadership class, military, that people go to work. Y'all know this. People go to work. It might be different, but people go to work, and then when they get off work, they go straight to the couch and just watch TV. Today, it might be they go straight to the couch and scroll on their phone when they know they could have took that hour out the day and went to the gym, or they could take that hour out the day to read. Just some self-improvement. Not no crazy YouTube motivation, just some simple self-improvements. But in reality, a person does that every day. They go right to their couch because it's there and they sit on it. And I seen tech entrepreneurs who were making, they wasn't even making much. They usually don't pay themselves out the gate like that. They pay themselves a little and put all the money back into the business. One-on-one right there. One-on-one, reinvest in the business. And so they were sleeping on air mattress. One person, I think it was 0 to 1. One person had an apartment right around the block from his company. So he didn't have to worry about a car. He didn't have to worry about a car note, car maintenance. He didn't have to worry about comfort. Like he had some, I'm assuming he had comfort things in his apartment, but the main thing that stuck out was he had an air mattress bed. And I seen multiple tech people do this. I don't know why they do that. I would need somebody in tech to explain that. But I get it though. I can only do it for 6 months, but tech people really would sleep. Like tech people are very, respect to the tech people. Tech people are very cheap. They're very cheap, very modest with their money. I don't know where it comes from. But tech people will sleep on an air mattress and wear t-shirts and say, I'm a tech guy. For most people that don't know that. Never trust a person who said they know tech in a suit. Never trust them. Real tech people don't wear suits. I heard that from tech gurus themselves. Tech people don't wear suits. So, yeah. I just say that, guys. And I feel like that gives the organic me. And then you know, like, yeah, man, I don't got a couch in here. I do not. I don't have a couch in here right now. And yeah, keeps me at this desk. I feel like it forces me to stay at the desk. Is that a little crazy? Is that crazy to think? I feel like it keeps me at my desk to work, be productive, because I know I can't just go sit down on the couch and take a break. I don't know. It might just be me a little bit. I'm just saying though. I'm just saying. So we're gonna talk about first generation a little bit. First generation student, because we are at, where we at right now? We at 1:09. Yeah, we're gonna talk about being a first generation student a little bit. Then we're gonna jump into Duke, and then we're gonna do a FAMU review, and I'm gonna let y'all go. Because it's a lot more we could talk about in these articles, but come on, guys. You know, who wants to sit here and listen to me for all these hours? Like, you know, I'm a normal person, right? Who wants to do that to themselves? So, what does it mean to be a first-generation student? I don't know. Didn't start hearing about this until I got into my university, I think, when I was about to transfer. Or when I did transfer, I was like, first generation. So, they said the formal definition of a first-generation college student is a student whose parents did not complete a 4-year college or university degree. So yeah, my parents did not get a 4-year college degree in the United States. It says, however, Texas State University, we understand that this definition may not fully account for the depth and breadth of experiences first-generation college students represent. For example, if you are a first generation, if, that's what they said, if you are first generation. I said if. I don't know why I can say if you are. You are a first generation college student if your parent and guardians have some college experience but did not earn a degree from a 4-year college university in the United States. Your sibling has completed a college degree. Okay. Your primary caretaker did not earn a degree from a 4-year college or university. Yeah, I would say first generation then, yeah. So, all right. So first generation, man. I got proof of that. If you go watch one of my old videos, I always say, I think it's called, I should repost it for the one time. If you go watch an old video on my shorts, it's me asking my parents how much they paid for my schooling. And they'll say nothing. My whole process through college, my mom did support me because I was under her for financial aid. My dad was more like the support in the background, but they didn't know about like when I had to sign up for classes. They didn't know about add drop period. They didn't know about what school is better. They didn't know like, look, you should apply to Ivy. Like their point of view was just go to school. You'll be better off than I was. You'll do better than me. My mom's perspective was, let her tell it. My mom wanted me to go get money. She didn't want me to go to college for real. She wanted me to just get money and be good and safe. I think we all heard that before when coming from those type of environments. Your parents just want you to have some money, go make some money, and be comfortable and good. But what I'm saying is that being a first generation college student doesn't change anything that you do. Being a first generation college student is just another word they came up with so you can feel. It's first generation college student is a word they came up with for students. To me, it's for students. They just made it up for students to rely more on the school. Because when you're a first generation college student, now you feel like this school offered you something. So now you feel like you're obligated to stay there. Now you feel like this school gave me everything when I first came. I was a first generation college student. Like, don't get caught up in that, man. You're just a college student. And truthfully being told from someone who worked in higher ed, these schools, some schools do probably care. That person probably do care about you. But in the most case scenario, they're just doing their job. And that's any job. Now you gonna know people who gonna go above and beyond for you and care. But saying that, first generation college student, it's gonna be hard to navigate. It's gonna be hard for you to, it's gonna be hard for you to figure out what you need to do in this process. Granted, but it's a 3-step process. If you watch us, you just need to you need to enroll in your classes, call the school, enroll in your classes. If you got accepted, find your academic advisor, enroll in your classes the first time. After that, you can do it yourself. First time, just enroll. Next minute is pay the bill. Then everything else after that comes. Like, after you enroll in your classes, it's just time to pay the bill. Then once you pay the bill, now it's just like where you need to live. You see how they go together? It's like where you need to live now. Where you need to live. So people who get caught up in the first generation thing, I really don't too much care for it personally. And it doesn't do anything. Like, where was it 10 years ago? Being a first generation college student, was it around 10 years ago? Please let me know. I didn't hear about it 10 years ago. Even though 10 years ago I was in high school. I didn't see not one person come to the college saying, or come to my high school saying, you all will most likely raise your hand if you'll be a first generation. Never heard of it. So if it wasn't around 10 years ago, I don't need it now, personally. So that's a little bit about being a first generation college student. Respectfully. So, all right. Let's see. Finna talk about Duke. We had some good talks. Duke. So, Duke University will, per Chronicle Higher Education, Duke University will start layoffs in August. So, where is it? Got some articles in here. Closing out some tabs. Tabs will slow your computer down. Okay, read something real quick. Please tell me I got access to this article. Okay. Perfect. So this is by the News and Observer, Corey Dean. So it says right here, Duke to start layoffs in August after nearly 600 employees take voluntarily buyouts. And then right here, this is gonna take us to voluntary buyouts. Oh, Inside Higher Ed wrote about it too. Interesting. If I had to pick, I'm gonna be honest with you. The News and Observer, y'all like I think a media outlet, like literally like, yeah, like when I say media outlet, they're like a newspaper outlet, I think. I'm gonna go to Inside Higher Ed, and then I will come back to them. I think they're talking more about the buyouts though. So let's go back to News Observer. And remember, it's due to start layoffs in August. In August, after nearly 600 employees take the voluntary buyouts. Nearly 600 employees at Duke have accepted a voluntary buyout under a program initiated this spring amid significant threats to the university's funding under the Trump administration, according to an email sent to faculty and staff on Friday. It says, per email, the university will make involuntary layoffs across campus in August. So right here, I quote this is the Duke Executive Vice President Daniel Ennis and Provost Alec Gallimore and School of Medicine Dean Mary Klothman. So I quote them. We determined that an involuntary reduction in force is necessary only after careful consideration and extensive consultation with leadership across Duke. So they feel like involuntarily reduction. And when I hear involuntarily, what that means they are getting rid of you, whether you like it or not. And I'm going to Google the definition just to make sure. Involuntarily meaning, so involuntarily done without will or conscious, and done against someone's will. Yeah, so yeah, whether you like it or not, that is involuntarily. So it says, ahead of the layoffs, all university units will be asked to identify further non-personnel budget cuts they can implement, which will determine the scale of the layoffs. So So right here it says the message added that fewer employees will be affected by the layoffs given the high number of employees. 599 to be exact, who participated in the voluntary buyouts. It's crazy that we have staff getting bought out. Usually you hear about buyouts and usually I heard about them in sports, but hearing it in like a higher education, people taking these buyouts is crazy. So by the layoffs, given the high number of employees, 599 to be exact, who participated in the voluntary buyouts. It says more than 250 faculty are also considering offers for voluntarily retirement incentives per message. Yeah, you better retire if you on the edge of retiring, you trying to hang up, you better get up out of here. So it says that they recognize, Duke University says we recognize and are sorry for the impact these changes will have on our colleagues. Ennis Gallimore and Klotman wrote, employees who are laid off will be notified between August 5th and 19th per their message. First and foremost, Duke is a very prestigious nonprofit private school. Remember early on, guys, that's why I say I respect our growth. Where is it? Duke University. Right there. I respect our growth on this channel right there, because I remember at one point we were saying private schools were going to be protected, and they're not protected. They're not protected at all. And we thought they were going to be protected. We thought Duke University and other private schools would be good through these times. And when I learned that a lot of schools that are private sometimes, in most cases, do rely on federal funding or research funding. And let's keep going. You just thought some schools would be safe. It says Duke faces threats to its finances. So along with the Trump administration, keeping that pressure on these schools who are drenching the students and the parents and guardians. Don't get me wrong. Parents and guardians and students can still feel the effects of this. Parents and students can still get the worst end of this. Because if Duke University, for example, feels like, oh, they want to mess with our funding and our finances, we just going to raise the price on the parents and students. It's not really nobody trying to cover the parents and students as far as like trying to pay tuition and the mandatory fees. It's not really that going on. So it said Friday announcement comes as Duke faces threats to its finances as the Trump administration has made major cuts to research funding and implemented policies affecting other universities and affecting other university operations, such as increasing the tax rate on the endowments of Duke and other colleges. We gotta get somebody on here who can tell us about these tax rates on endowments. We gotta get somebody on here. And of course, research funding. Now, research funding be crazy. I wonder how much Duke spends on research funding, because I believe Duke is an R1 school. I can actually Google that right now. It might tell me over here in the box. Duke R1. Yes, Duke University is classified as an R1 institution. So yeah, they do very good, credible research and produce a lot of research, PhD, master level, and all the good sorts. They are highly recommended for, going to do your research. So, but it says also that to address the actual and potential federal funding reduction, as they were referred to in its Friday's message, the university has implemented a host of cost-cutting measures. They implemented a host of cost-cutting measures, including freezing hiring and other spending in March. Then in late April, as the university told faculty it sought to cut as much as 10% of its budget, or roughly $350 million, the university announced it would offer buyouts to staff. Those efforts were furthered by another round of buyouts for faculty, announced last month. Man, Duke University, I don't know what they've been doing. Duke University wasn't prepared at all for this. And guys, this is just another example, like when schools are not prepared for, potential Trump or potential pandemic, they don't do well. They don't do well when they don't prepare properly. Once again, like I said before, I don't know what these schools were doing the whole time. This should have been a backup plan once again for schools. This should have been a really big backup plan in case this happens. Now, parents and students are gonna feel it, man. And you got people out here losing their jobs, their staff. Why is it important that staff losing? Guys, if you are on the student affairs side, they're not even specifying if they're slicing like the student affairs, the business office. They're not saying, like, usually most of the staffing at a college is most of the people who are doing staffing at a college most people who are doing the staffing work, let me say that, are usually like academic advisors, registrar, financial aid, or it might be somebody who works in the cafeteria, or it might be somebody who do like anything staff related, work in the library. But the whole ordeal is, though, with staffing, that's like somebody like me. But they even cut in the faculty at the school. They're just shrinking the school at this point. Now, could they bring people back? This is what they're saying, is they saying potential. They're preparing themselves. But they're feeling the pressure already, and it forces them to make these decisions early. Why? Because they have to make them if if the Trump administration actually takes it. And I'm pretty sure Duke has to they have to consider doing the deal, because if Duke don't consider doing the deal, they can lose that funding. And then they lose that funding, they're gonna be, I guess, asking the basketball team and whoever else to generate money and revenue in sports. They're gonna be asking them for money. They're gonna be asking their alumni. They got some alumni with money, so they should be good. I don't know why they can't get more money from the alumni. But the largest employer in the Triangle, one of the country's top research universities with a major health system. Duke does have a major health system. Duke employs more than 48,000 people across Durham University. It is the Triangle's largest employer and the second largest private employer in North Carolina, behind only Walmart. That's impressive. But Duke isn't the only local university grappling with the impacts of funding threats. Through its buyouts and upcoming layoffs appear to be the most drastic response of schools in the Triangle. Salaries, hiring, and other spending in the UNC system, which is the university. The UNC is North Carolina, pretty much. I don't want to say University of North Carolina system, but the North Carolina system, which includes major research universities like UNC, Chapel Hill, NC State University, are currently restricted under a directive from the system president Peter Hans enacted last month. So, salaries, hiring, and other spending in the UNC system, which includes major research universities, are currently restricted. They say they're restricted. But that's pretty much it on that end. And then we go to Inside Higher Ed about the Duke employees take buyouts. Boom, boom, boom. We read some of that. It's just a disaster. It is just terrible. But once again, I told schools early on, I'm gonna wear this out. I told schools early on that, look, you can tell students, like, somebody said, what this got to do with it? Because this was gonna happen regardless. If we would have lowered the prices, we would have had lower money. If you think about it, they had lower money. If students stay off campus, they had lower money on that. But if you had better ethical ways, let's say this, if your president was doing ethical things, actually doing ethical work, and I can't even say if you I can't even say if you had better tuition prices that your school will be better off. But what I know for sure is that these schools, I've been navigating with this time around. Because I really don't feel like plugging all that light, guys. I know I'm in the zone. I do know for sure, like, schools, what am I gonna say? Schools for sure should have treated students and parents better with prices. They've been doing, that's what I was gonna say. Schools have been spending recklessly. This is oh, hold on. Yeah, that is reckless spending. They just been doing reckless spending. It's not all. This doesn't happen all of a sudden. I haven't heard. Now, there can be more schools who haven't just hit the news yet. They haven't hit the media. But schools are, the reckless spending is coming about because they never prepared if they had to cough up research money, research funding. And what's driving me crazy is that why can't they just take money? And it's probably some lack of education on me. I always be humble about things, but why they just can't take some money from another place and replace the research funding? But then you have to think, is this research funding for the year? Is this research funding for the semester? Is this research funding going to other things where they might need more research funding that comes up? Like that research funding ran out. I don't know why it's so hard to replace research funding. But then you have to think that they're paying the execs and the presidents so much money that if they just cut back on some of those salaries, guys, go look at a Duke president salary. We're going to look at the Duke president salary. I'm going to go to Google. I'm not even going to go to a credible source because I don't want to hurt their feelings like that. A Duke University president salary. That's all I need. Guys, on average, if you go on the AI overview on Google, shout out to the AI overview. I don't have to do no deep. I don't have to go that far into it. If you just go type in on Google the Duke University president salary, we cooking right now. If you type in Duke University president salary, they said in the year of the fiscal 2023, in 2023, the president of Duke made $1.73 million. $1.73 million. That's a lot of money. Not to mention the other top people who make money. It's probably some people who make more money than him. It's probably more people who make money than him. Why y'all can't get this little research fund money? This little research funding. Why you can't cover that? Because you blame it on the Trump administration, but in reality, y'all have not been good with your money. You have not been good stewards with your money, colleges. Your presidents, your execs, your whoever, your minions, I don't know. You pay the athletes, the college, you pay the crazy part about everything that never made sense to me. You rather pay the coaches all the money, the college coaches all the money. Granted, the program is winning, I guess, it's some, but they get all the money, but the players can't get paid. Oh, they gotta get their college education. Like, the coach, shout out to Coach K, one of the best coaches ever to do it, you know, but he was coaching the Olympics. He wasn't even he just stayed in college coaching because he didn't want to deal with NBA players. So, but a college coach can get paid all that money, but the players can't. The last time I checked, the players get the wins. And that's for all sports. The players get the wins. The players leave, you ain't got no program. All I'm saying is, look, the research fund, it don't matter that the budget structure doesn't add up to me personally. Because when I look at great entrepreneurs, and I get that higher education doesn't offer stock as if like a regular company does, but if they need to work out something better, because CEOs / founders don't even make this much. They take it out of stock. 100. They take it out of stock. 100 emoji. They take it out of stock. They're getting base salary pay. You ever wonder why your president got a nice suit on? That nice clean cut suit, but you can barely afford to eat at the college? You can barely have a food pantry now? But they say it's the Trump administration fault, but your president is sending like $1 to $5 million or more? Your college head football coach is sitting on millions of dollars? Your athletic director is sitting on millions of dollars? But they can't afford to get you some vegetable food pantry? How is that the Trump administration fault? If you simply cut back on the $1 million salaries, we can get you a food pantry. The president can say, cut back my salary. We're going to take what we take out of my salary. This is what we're going to use for the food pantry at the school. This is going to be a tradition for the kids, for the students, so they can have a food pantry. If Trump takes it away, cool. We'll add one ourselves. They can do that. Man, I'm done talking. Because I'm going to have to clip that. I'm going to have to clip that and post that. I ain't mad at universities. I went to a university. I go to 2 of them. I went to 2 of them. I'm just saying. Ain't nobody listening to me, so I gotta talk to this camera until somebody hear me. Let's keep going. So we finna do our review. I believe that took us over. Yeah. So we right at where we need to be. I'm about to do our review, and I'm gonna let y'all go, man. I appreciate y'all. So we're gonna do FAMU. We finna review FAMU. Shout out to FAMU. I liked their prices. I don't think I did FAMU before. If I did, yeah, 2 of them. If I didn't, yeah, 1 of them. But I don't think I did FAMU before. I feel like I did a school closer with that name. Not the exact name, of course, but similar name. Woo, let's do it. FAMU. There we go. I like how you can type in the acronyms and they come up. Out there in Tallahassee. All right. All right, let's do it. Because I already got it pulled up with the tuition and state. All right, so we're going to do FAMU, guys, which is a historical black college and university known as Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. So if you want to do some agriculture, this is a school you would come to. But also, again, culture, home of the HBCU. And so it's 4-year. They say it's public. They say it's in the city. They say it's got a median population of students. They have 7516 undergraduate students. That's what they're saying. The graduation rate is about 61%, which is over the midpoint, which is pretty good. They're saying that the average annual cost to go to FAMU is about $16,000. Let's see how true that is. When I look at the sticker price, they're saying for a year, if you stay off campus, guys, you're looking at $25,000. If you stay on campus, which is weird, you're looking at more money if you stay on campus. That doesn't make sense at all. They need to do better with that. That don't make sense. They need to structure that way better. But if you stay on campus, remember I always do on campus. If you stay on campus, you're looking at average price of $25,000. So the average annual cost is not correct. But if you go here and you stay off campus, guys, the way I view it, if I stay off campus and I live off campus with my mom and dad or somebody I know I can trust, you're you're going to do good. Why? Because their tuition, I'm actually helping them out. If you just go to FAMU and you just live off campus and pay the tuition and fees, you're looking at about $3,200 in tuition per semester, which is very well, $3,200 per semester. I'll say about 3,200. You're looking at about 30. You're looking at about 3,000 per semester. 3,000 per semester, yeah. So when you look at 3,000 per semester, that is about what, $6,000 that you're looking at in tuition and fees. So that's not bad to go to a school that is, I consider, when you go to HBCU, it's experience. You know, when you go to HBCU, you're going to get a different type of education, a different meaning. I heard a lot of good things about FAMU, but not recently, because we talked earlier about the new president they're bringing in. Excuse me. So, but as far as that, if you just stay off campus and pay your tuition and fees, you can get away with that. You can get away with that. But overall, the sticker price is $25,000. So the sticker price is way off on the sticker price is way off on the midpoint. It's way over the midpoint. They say the midpoint for four-year colleges average annual cost is pretty much 20,000. The average annual price, the average annual cost at FAMU is $25,000. Once again, just want to emphasize that. This is not really good. They say, according to the U.S. Department of Education College Scorecard, that you will make potentially $45,000 if you go to FAMU. I don't know if that's the case. It depends on your major, of course. When I hear people go to FAMU, I know a couple people that went to FAMU. Know a couple. Do I know them personally? No. But when you go to FAMU, they're saying you're going to make an average of $45,000 a year. Maybe I'm thinking about the elites a little bit. When I say the elites, like the ones who went to business school there, I heard they had a very good business program. But on average, after being 10 years removed as a financial aid student, if you've been 10 years removed from the institution, in those 10 years, you're either going to be making over $45,000 or you're going to be making under $45,000. And so, as I like to do, if you stay on campus at FAMU and you pay $25,000 a year, if you do, that's 25,000 times 4. Guys, you're paying $100,000. That's $100,000 you're going to pay for education to potentially make $45,000 a year, potentially. That's not a good return on investment. So the graduation and retention rate, we said the graduation rate was 61%, but the students who return after their first year, students return 88% of the time. That's very good after their first year. Very good. That's very good. Respectfully, that's very good. That's a B. Their graduation rate is an F, 61%, but hey, the financial aid and debt, 47% of students receive federal loans. That's almost 50%. 24% of students. 24. How am I saying 24%? The average debt you're gonna get after going to this institution. Remember, we said it's like $25,000 a year. So if it's $25,000 a year, your average debt after going there is gonna be $24,000 and more. That's gonna be your average debt. So keep that in mind if you go there. That's gonna be your average debt if you stay on campus. I really think you'll be in a good position if you stay off campus at FAMU. Considering the legacy of it, that's some very good prices for HBCU. I'll be honest. It's rare being in Georgia that I would find an HBCU with those prices, but HBCU of that caliber. So I feel like that's good. Unless I've been misled on pricing, I think that was a good prices for a school of that caliber in this case. So FAMU has a 21% acceptance rate. Very hard to get into. They do not require. Oh, Florida A&M requires the admission test scores. They require the SAT and ACT during the application process. Students who were admitted to Florida A&M and enrolled typically had admission test scores in these ranges. So they do require you to take the SAT and ACT in order to go to FAMU. I'm glad I read that. They require you to. Why? Because FAMU keeping that thing strict guidelines. They probably the only HBCU so far I've seen that has strict guidelines. So shout out to FAMU on that, man. The overall rating I give FAMU. So overall I give FAMU if I transferred there out of my 2-year, being honest, I said I would transfer there out of my 2-year. I'll be cutting it close to pay like $3,000 a semester. I'll be staying off campus and have me a job, of course. I would transfer there. I'll transfer there. I feel like I'll take on a little debt probably, but I would transfer there. And if you stay off campus, so the overall I can give FAMU for like on campus. On campus is terrible. Don't stay on campus. It's just too expensive. Don't stay on campus. You stay off campus, it's a good deal. So in a situation, we have to give them, because if you stay off campus, you could be like at a B, but if you stay on campus, you can be at a D. So the best rating I can give them is a C, because it's pretty much not good if you stay on campus at all. And if you stay on campus. If you stay on campus, it's not a good deal at all. It's not a good deal at all. If you stay off campus, it's a great deal. I feel like on this caliber of a school. Now, if I do an interview and I start asking students, majority of students say it's not what you think and blah, 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 then hold on, the rating could change in the future. But right now, I'm loving these prices for a school of this caliber. So yeah, they're going to be a C. You know, feel like that's accurate. And considering the return on investment, but I would definitely start at a 2-year, then bridge to this school. I can't do all 4 years at this school. I can't. I gotta do a 2-year, then bridge to 4-year. So shout out to FAMU. They're gonna get a C rating, and I feel pretty good about that rating. I hope everybody should feel good about that. And we're gonna clip that up, add it to the list, of course. And that is all we have on the live screen. I appreciate everybody that came through, stopped by, show love, and we got in on this one. This was a good one. It's one of them good ones. So I got to follow up strong tomorrow, hopefully. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow. It's Wednesday. I'm going to do my live screen. And then we will be here the rest of the week. Peace. Chicken grease.